Look at the screen right now. On the left is a 1976 stand mixer flawlessly kneading heavy bread dough, purring like a well-oiled machine. On the right is a brand new 2026 Pro model, literally smoking and grinding to a halt under the exact same load. We are living in an era where you pay top dollar for premium brands, only to end up with disposable trash. Today, we are conducting a forensic teardown of these two machines to expose the insidious engineering hiding inside your kitchen. Get ready to see the exact moment corporate greed replaced durable manufacturing. It is time to uncover the great American appliance scam. Number 1. The buy it for life myth. Why nothing lasts anymore. We've all heard our grandparents brag about appliances that have outlived several presidencies, but modern consumers are living a very different reality. In 2026, with inflation squeezing every last cent out of our wallets, a premium stand mixer can easily set you back $800. You drop that kind of cash expecting an heirloom, a mechanical workhorse that will at least survive the decade. Instead, what you are actually buying is a beautifully painted illusion of quality. The buy-it-for-life mentality has been weaponized by marketing departments to sell you nostalgia, while the engineering departments are busy stripping out the actual longevity. They know you associate a hefty price tag and a shiny chrome finish with durability. But underneath that glossy exterior, the brutal truth is that nothing is built to last anymore. Corporate bean counters have mathematically calculated the exact moment your warranty expires, ensuring you'll be back in the checkout line. It is a masterclass in psychological manipulation and financial extraction. Number 2. The Contenders, 1976, Vintage Mixer versus 2026. Pro model. Let's examine our subjects on the forensic table today. On my left, we have a genuine 1976 Hobart-era KitchenAid Cafe, purchased at a yard sale for $50, but originally built to industrial specifications. On my right is the shiny brand new 2026 Artisan Pro Series, retailing for an eye-watering $950 in today's inflated economy. Visually, they look almost identical, maintaining that iconic silhouette that has graced American countertops for generations. But do not let the retro styling fool you. These are two completely different species of machinery. The 1976 model was manufactured in an era where engineers were the heroes, designing parts to withstand daily abuse in a commercial bakery. The 2026 model, however, was designed by algorithms and accountants looking to shave pennies off the manufacturing cost. We are pitting the golden age of American manufacturing against the dark age of corporate cost-cutting. It is a battle of brute force engineering versus calculated fragility. Let the autopsy begin. Number 3. Weight test. Why heavy used to mean quality. Our first forensic test is the simplest one, the literal scale of truth. When I place the 1976 model on the industrial scale, it clocks in at a bone-crushing 28 pounds of solid die-cast zinc and steel. Moving over to the 2026 Pro model, the scale stops at a measly 18 pounds, a staggering 10-pound deficit. For decades, consumers have equated weight with durability, and brands know you still do. To mask this dramatic loss of dense, high-quality metal, modern manufacturers actually bolt dead weights, chunks of cheap concrete or pot metal, into the base. They want it to feel heavy when you lift it out of the styrofoam box so you don't immediately feel buyer's remorse. But that missing 10 pounds represents the missing steel gears, the missing copper in the motor, and the missing structural integrity. When a heavy dough starts throwing its weight around, this lighter 2026 base practically walks itself off your kitchen counter. It is a deceptive parlor trick designed to mimic the heft of genuine quality. Number 4. The first cut. Opening the gear housing. It is time to crack these machines open and look at their mechanical DNA. Grabbing my screwdriver for the 1976 model, I am met with heavy-duty, standard flathead machine screws that yield smoothly with a satisfying click. The housing lifts off effortlessly, revealing a beautifully greased, easily accessible planetary gear system. Now, let us turn to the 2026 model, and immediately, The hostility toward the consumer is apparent. The housing is secured with proprietary, tamper-proof Torx screws hidden behind glued-on cosmetic plastic caps. They are explicitly telling you, do not look inside, do not attempt to fix this. Once I finally pry the stamped aluminum cover off, the difference is visually shocking. The vintage housing is thick, structural, and meant to absorb immense torque. The modern housing is paper-thin, utilizing plastic clips and fragile tabs that snap the moment you try to service them. This isn't just cheap manufacturing, it is an intentional barrier to entry for anyone trying to maintain their own property. Number 5. The smoking gun. Plastic gears versus solid steel. Here we are at the dark heart of planned obsolescence, the most infuriating discovery of this teardown. Looking closely at the 1976 transmission, every single interlocking gear is milled from hardened steel, bathed in grease, and virtually indestructible. But panning the macro lens over to the 2026 model, the main drive gear, the very part that takes all the strain of kneading dough, is made of nylon plastic. Every time you see this plastic worm gear in a machine that costs nearly $1,000, you are staring at a calculated betrayal. The manufacturer claims this plastic gear is a fail-safe designed to break and save the motor, if it jams. But from a forensic standpoint, it is a guaranteed failure point that shreds its own teeth after a few years of moderate use. When that nylon gear strips, your $900 appliance becomes a giant paperweight. They traded a lifetime of reliability for a plastic part that costs them 14 cents to mold. This is the smoking gun of modern appliance fraud. Number 6. Motor analysis. Why modern motors burn out faster. Pulling out the stators and rotors from both machines reveals a tale of two entirely different engineering philosophies. The 1976 Hobart motor is a beast, wrapped in thick, genuine copper wire that handles intense heat without breaking a sweat. It pulls less advertised wattage, but delivers vastly more actual torque to the mixing bowl. Now, inspect the 2026 motor, which boasts a massive 1,000-watt sticker on the box to impress you at the store. However, under the macro lens, that wiring isn't pure copper. It is copper-clad aluminum wire, a cheaper alternative that overheats rapidly. Because aluminum resists electrical flow more than copper, this motor generates an immense amount of internal heat. To compensate, they slapped a tiny, ineffective plastic fan on the back that barely pushes any air. When you try to mix a heavy batch of 2026 artisan sourdough, that aluminum wiring essentially cooks itself to death. The smoke we saw in the intro? That was the smell of cheap insulation melting off an overworked, underbuilt motor. Number 7. The circuitry trap. Unnecessary tech that causes failure. In 1976, speed control was handled by a purely mechanical governor and a physical solid-state phase control, components that simply do not fail. If we look at the 2026 model, it is infested with unnecessary microchips, a proprietary motherboard, and even a Wi-Fi module, so your phone can tell you your dough is mixing. This is what engineers call a circuitry trap, where they introduce highly sensitive electronics into an environment filled with heat, vibration, and flour dust. When a 50-cent capacitor on this modern motherboard inevitably pops, the entire machine is completely bricked. You cannot bypass it, and you cannot easily replace the board because the manufacturer specifically restricts access to these electronic components. A mixer only needs to spin in circles, yet it has been needlessly complicated to justify an inflated price tag. This silicon infection guarantees that a software glitch or a minor short circuit will send your heavy-duty appliance straight to the landfill. It is engineered fragility disguised as smart technology. Number 8. Repairability score. Why it's cheaper to buy new than fix. The true test of any machine is what happens on the worst day of its life, when it finally breaks. If a gear slipped on the 1976 model, you could walk into a hardware store, buy a $5 replacement, and fix it on your kitchen table with basic hand tools. Let us look at the reality of fixing the 2026 model when that infamous plastic gear shreds. Because of the proprietary electronics, the glued-together subassemblies, and the tamper-proof screws, An authorized repair center will quote you upwards of $400 for the labor and parts. That is nearly half the cost of a brand new unit in today's brutal economy. The manufacturer has artificially manipulated the repair market to make throwing the machine away the most logical financial choice. They refuse to sell you the individual plastic gear, forcing you to buy the entire transmission assembly. This abysmal repairability score isn't an accident. It is the core foundation of their recurring revenue model. You are trapped in a cycle of expensive, disposable consumption. Number 9, the profit margin. How brands save $5 but charge you $500. Let us follow the money and look at the raw forensic accounting of these teardowns. By swapping the steel gear for nylon, switching from copper to aluminum wiring, and using thin stamped metal instead of die-cast zinc, the manufacturer saves roughly $5 per unit on the assembly line. $5. Yet, they still have the audacity to charge the modern consumer nearly $1,000 for the privilege of owning their Pro Series. In 2026, as grocery prices soar and household budgets tighten, extracting this kind of premium for intentionally compromised hardware borders on criminal. The massive profit margins are funneled into marketing campaigns designed to convince you that this plastic-filled machine is a necessary luxury. They are leveraging decades of inherited brand trust, built by the heavy-duty 1976 model, to sell you a shiny lemon today. It is the ultimate bait-and-switch operation, orchestrated in corporate boardrooms at the expense of your hard-earned money. The math is simple, and it heavily favors the house. Number 10. Final verdict. Should you buy vintage or modern? After systematically dissecting both machines, the forensic evidence is completely undeniable. The 2026 Pro model is a fragile, over-engineered piece of disposable technology wrapped in a nostalgic shell. It is built to fail, difficult to fix, and obscenely overpriced for the cheap materials hiding inside. The 1976 vintage model, however, remains a triumph of mechanical engineering. A heavy, honest machine that delivers real torque and can be repaired with simple tools. If you are serious about cooking and sick of throwing away your money, the verdict is clear. Do not give these modern corporations your hard-earned cash for a plastic-geared time bomb. Instead, scour the secondary market. Find yourself an old 1970s or 1980s Hobart-era workhorse and spend a few bucks on fresh grease. You will own a superior machine that will easily outlive any appliance sitting on a retail shelf today. True quality still exists. You just have to look in the past to find it. The illusion of modern quality has been shattered by the undeniable proof of planned obsolescence. It's time we stop accepting disposable appliances as the norm and start demanding the durability we actually pay for. If you found this forensic teardown eye-opening, hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone about to waste their money on a new appliance. Stay sharp, buy vintage, and I'll see you in the next investigation.